So my name's Richard Kempson, and I work for Foundry. And for those of you who don't know who Foundry are, we develop creative software, and our business is split into two areas. We focus on movies and entertainment with our flagship product, Nuke, within that market for the VFX industry. And we have design. And design for us is based around two main applications, Modo and Colorway, which Sergio is going to take you through. But for design, Foundry, the whole team thinks about it in a specific way. We think about it from the designer's perspective, but we also think about it from a business perspective. So does that business have a particular challenge they're looking to resolve? Is it to reduce the number of physical samples, for example, within their prototyping? So we're thinking about it in two different ways. Well, the title for the presentation is Introducing the Next Generation in Visualization for Design. And from our experience of the design industry and meeting designers from the leading automotive, footwear and apparel companies, it's very interesting to listen to their stories. We're finding that a lot of them are still producing physical prototypes. It's still that communication between designer and manufacturing is very slow, cumbersome, takes a long time. Often 2D designs, which are still very popular, sketches, working out on paper. Once those are translated into a physical prototype, they're often taken out of context and leave some scratching their heads at what the designer's trying to achieve within those designs. A recent case study, which you can find on our website from our partner New Balance, they revealed that their physical prototyping was taking them 6 to 8 weeks to produce a physical sample. Through their use of Modo and Colorway, our two design applications which we'll run through, they were able to visualize in a digital world and reduce that down to 2 to 3 days. Obviously, that has a massive impact on their business and is a complete game changer for them. So how do they do this? They initially start with Modo. So Modo is a very powerful 3D modeling tool. It uses polygons to create the model itself. And this enables the designer to very quickly communicate their idea and build that model. There's lots of powerful tools within Modo, for example, mesh fusion, procedural modeling. We're continually developing this software with our partners to enable it to achieve their goals and be a really valuable tool to them. I recently met one of the leading automotive companies in Germany, and their head of 3D. And he said to me, or I said to him, sorry, why do you use Modo? And he said to me, Richard, the reason I use Modo is I do not believe there's a faster modeling tool out there for my team. It enables them to quickly conceptualize ideas and enables us to be really, really creative in a 3D world. So once you've created your 3D model within Modo, an example workflow is to bring this then into Colorway. Colorway is the glamorous design assistant to Modo. It enables that 3D model to be shared across the business, and hence the name. Color and material teams can then use that asset and be able to quickly swap in and out colors and materials very efficiently. The way it does that is wrapping those materials using UV wraps to the actual model, so the model still pops off the page. And Sergio will show you this in a workflow in a minute. But I guess one of the main reasons that Colorway is still very exciting for those teams is there's a lot of laborious tasks within those roles. There's linking files together, there's linking tables, they're showing different views of different colors and materials, which often take a huge amount of time to achieve. With Colorway, through its dynamic text and dynamic table features, it enables these tasks to be drastically reduced in terms of time. This is of massive value to the customers because they can then focus on what's really important to them, which is being creative. And I think with all of our design applications, at the core of our mind is, we don't want to stifle designers in terms of using these applications. We want them to be as creative as possible and enhance their creativity as much as possible. So who do we work with? As mentioned previously, we partnered with New Balance, but we partnered with some of the biggest names globally within the automotive, footwear and apparel industries. New Balance is one, Porsche, to name a few. We also partner with, sorry, I just need to read this one, Under Armour as well. But these are just some of the names that we're allowed to mention. And these guys have been pivotal in helping us develop our software, as mentioned previously, and use these tools to their advantage. Today's demonstration will show you Modo and colorway within an automotive and within a footwear workflow. And that's enough from me. I'll hand over to Sergio, who's going to take you through that workflow. And Sergio's been recently joined Foundry on the Creative Specialist team. However, his background is within the last 15 years within the automotive industry and working with some of the largest names across the globe in the automotive industry. And he's going to take you through the process of how we model within Modo, how we move to colorway, with an automotive and a footwear workflow. So without further ado, over to Sergio.
Thank you, Richard. So I'm going to go through two samples. One is a steering wheel and the other is a shoe. It's the same workflow, same philosophy. Just go through the modeling and then rendering and sending it to colorway. So here, early stages, this is the Modo UI. I'm just going through the basic shape of my steering wheel, just going to some deformers very quickly. Modo is really fast and simple to use. So just modeling with some subdivision modeling, and you can get a really fast and intuitive shapes. Just going, messing some of the shapes, just experimenting with. And then I have my basic shape, and then I start to add the several components that I had previously modeled. These are separate components, which makes my life easier in the next stage, which is applying materials on it. So this one, just call it leather. And these materials will carry over to colorway. So the way I group them inside of Modo is the same way you can color change them or apply textures within colorway. And also Modo can import or load CAD and non-CAD data, like most common formats in CAD and non-CAD. So this is the Modo preview render. It's intuitive and dynamic, so you can drag and drop materials from your library and you'll see it in real time, just dragging some plastic and applying. I will show just next my light setup, which I have done to lighten up and make my steering wheel more photoreal. And I have made these colors, you can see the light below. These colors, the important is the amount of reflectivity you want in your material, because you will be able to colorway and change the colors later on colorway and textures. So next step is just you choose the materials you want to change later on colorway, tag them, and then render for colorway. Save the file, which is what I'm doing now. And your model is telling you that he's going to render a certain amount of materials and lights. Yeah, this is the key bullet points for colorway. It allows you to very easily interact in real time with your assets and changing textures, if photoreal. It allows non-3D users to use it, and it just allows reduce the amount of physical samples also, and time to market. So this is the initial, you'll see it in a second, the colorway UI with the final steering wheel. It comes in as full white, and then it's just as simple as drag and drop. You drag and drop, choose colors, drag it and drop it. Which is what I'm doing now, just dragging and dropping. I have all my buttons as a separate material. Maybe it wouldn't be necessary, but it's just to show you the potential that you can go in and change individual components, color. You can also shift click, which is what I'm doing now. Shift click and click on the color, and it gets the color black plastic assigned to it. And also on the left, all these, I'm doing the stitches now. You can see the real detail, and all the views show the new color for the stitches, because all this data is linked. Even the table on the left, this dynamic table has a description of the colors you are using. You can use Pantone colors, you can import those, or you can use the current libraries, and also use textures. So everything you up-to-date, you would change, you will get a description of the color you are using, the texture you are using, which is what I'm doing now, just applying some textures, and you can also dynamically change the texture size and wrapping. It will wrap around your object, which is what I'm adjusting some sizes on these textures and just applying the texture somewhere else, adjusting the size a little. You can position, rotate it around. It will wrap automatically around your 3D object. Yeah, same process going through, applying the central part. Once I'm happy with my textures, I can start to apply some colors, and you have the final layout, and you can store it. As soon as you store something, it automatically pops up on the table below, and you always have, like here now, it shows up below on the table. You can swap out colors and materials automatically, always have up-to-date description of what textures, what materials, what Pantone colors you used. So here, new texture has a totally different look. Just apply it on some components, lower part and the upper part. And yeah, here is some plastic, just dragging black plastic onto it. And again, selecting the individual buttons and applying color and then the texture I want. You can also have several different artwork for the buttons. You can swap them, see how it looks, see if you like it, if you don't like it. You can have several views. So in this is the front view. I have two other side views for the buttons, but you can have as many views as you want. You just need to tag the cameras and you'll get all those views in. So just choosing the image you want to apply on those buttons. This image is white, that's why you are not seeing it, it's there. But I'm going to drag some bluish color to the buttons and then it will show up. Yeah, which is what I'm doing now, some blue color, drag it, and then it will show up. Also, like many 2D packages, you have the possibility to apply images as normal or as multiply, and then it will overlay the black areas on top. And on the left, you have the up-to-date, like all the materials you used, all the textures you used, all the variants you stored, and this is the final one, just loading a different texture. It's too big, I will rescale it. It's smaller now. Like applying the same. You can remove also, which is what I'm doing now, removing the previous texture because I don't want any texture there. Want a new color here, just color it, have it white, or just drag and drop a new color, which is what I'm going to pick now. Just pick a new color and drag and drop. We'll probably not go forward with this one, but it's just to show you what you can do. So just update, and you see the final, my last variant of the wheel. And also this dynamic data is connected to an Excel sheet. So you can have pricing, and besides the technical information that you get from the 3D model and the textures you use that you have there. Yes, with all the Pantone or colors used. Pricing, you can have all this data like from the list, deriving from an Excel sheet, which is what I'm just going in to change the pricing and change some dimensions. And this is linked. So as soon as you change it, it will show up in your colorway. So you can have different versions with different pricings and different technical sizes. Just go in and change it. And again, yeah, all this is dynamically linked. So you save a lot of time. You don't have to color and material departments don't have to go to the 3D guys. Oh, can you apply this texture? Can you do a new render? Rotate the texture around, do a new render. Can you try with this color? They can have this model themselves and they can experiment and take decisions quicker. So yeah, this was the steering wheel workflow. And then we have a new one, which is footwear, but it's the same principle applies. So I'm going through the early modeling stage. In this particular workflow, I did the scanning. So we had the physical scan to start with, and it's within Modo you can use the topology tab, which basically everything that you model will snap to the background data. It's a lot faster, and you can just model, and it will automatically adapt it to geometry. So it's just faster to model. So you don't have to really spend a lot of time with concerns if you are matching the right shape, because you are. It's just snaps. Although you could start from scratch. This is just a workflow. Here I'm thickening, just preparing the part to thicken, and thicken right now. This is the sole. Also, this sole, just to show you an example, it was imported from CAD data. So Modo, as I said previously, it loads edges and step, and you can still go through and modify it, which I'll do just in a few steps. So this is applying some deformers, and it's really will enhance the realism of the shoe. This is interesting because every component that you want to get the same deformation, you just drag it and link it, which is what I'm doing now. It's just dragging and linking, you will deform it. So now I'll pull the deformation back, and you see the inner sole, it's not deformed. So I can just pick it and connect it, and it's automatically deformed. Everything gets the same deformation, everything will match right. Just going through some sculpting, because sometimes you need to go in and paint the shape a little. This is again the preview render within Modo. Within my light setup, very quickly you can have see how your model looks, if you like the materials, if you like the light setup. Experiment with different materials also, and render. I have several different views, and this is the final image from Modo. But you can take it further. So in this, I'm going to go and do something a little bit different, try to place it on a bookshelf, on a shelf, and just add some radius there, and have the back wall, apply some texture, take it to the render again, and have something completely different, or not completely, but different, with a different environment. All my lights are there, and here you have the final shot. All this with the preview. So if you render this, then you take it to colorway. I have some colors already created, but for one view. Another feature about colorway is that as soon as you load the rest of the views you have, and you link them, it will automatically assign all the correct materials to the corresponding views, which what I did just now. I linked all the views, and it had the same material names, and you can dynamically adjust the textures, which was what I'm doing now, go into the several components, change the color of the laces, change the color of the sole, and again, this technical description is on every sample. Here you just, all this is variants. On the second sheet is all the variants I have, and you can connect it to a specific view, and it will update everything. Really simple, and you don't have to imagine the time you save. Like if color and material department has this, they can just experiment on their own, have different scanned textures, apply them, take decisions quicker without having to go to the 3D guys, re-render, render again, experiment different looks. You can be focused, or the 3D guys can be focusing on designing something, and they can be focusing on applying and having decisions quicker. And that's it. Thank you, Richard.
Excellent. Thank you, Sergio. Some great examples there of Modo and colorway within a workflow. Here's some quick images of, I guess, the photorealism from the render within Modo. I'll just click through those quickly because I'm conscious we're short on time. And just like to thank you for staying as long as you have. If you've got any questions, then please come and grab us afterwards, or reach out to us at foundry.com, and we're more than happy to speak to you. Thank you very much.